Thank you for listening to our podcast.
We are available on the following platforms:
Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Tune in today. Welcome to Chilling with Clay.
And Wanda.
Today we are talking about boys. And Wanda, you could probably tell our listeners what's going on with that, since you have like a million questions.
No, I don't got the questions. I got the answers. I only
Oh,
have a whole house full of boys here.
I do.
Same here. I think I'm up on you, though. I have 4. And a
Yeah.
stepson, but he doesn't live here anymore, so it's not like I got 5 of them. But, oh my goodness, they're a handful.
But I want to tell our listeners my 3 top things for the week that happened to me.
Oh, I got some this week for me.
Oh my God, because in Phoenix we don't get snow. Everywhere in Arizona got snow this week but us. And so, like, it was storming bad, and at the doctor's office the doors wouldn't close because they're automatic. And so it got really cold. And so I put my lab coat on, not thinking, oh, this material's slippy. I sit down in, like, the round rolling chair and fall right off.
Oh my goodness.
And the patient's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm fine."
Oh, wow.
And then the doctor had to do a surgery, so he wanted me to assist him, and I thought I was just going to be watching. But oh no, I was there, doing what a nurse would be doing, and I'm like, "Okay, I guess I'm all in."
Oh, geez. You said a surgery.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Like,
on what?
it was like a fatty tumor on the forehead.
Oh.
Yeah, and we had to cut it out and everything, and I didn't get queasy or anything, so I was like, maybe I should be a OR nurse.
There you go.
And then my last thing
Wow.
was, I haven't checked my emails from work yet this week for this specific reason. On Facebook, everyone's talking about Rhonda. And apparently, an email went out, because Biden took over, so we have new leadership in the military. And Rhonda apparently replied all to everybody in the military. And she was being quite honest with the new
Oh.
leadership. And apparently, everybody was replying all to her, and like, it was insane.
Oh my
And,
goodness.
and I do not want to check my emails because I probably have hundreds in my inbox.
Hey, at least check it whenever you need a good laugh.
Yeah, because everyone's like, they need to give Rhonda an award.
Oh my gosh. You're just
But
like
that
dreading
that
that.
that happens all the time, because when I was with the MPs a year ago, like, soldiers, they get in the reserves, if they don't show up, after a certain time, you'll just go bye-bye. And this one soldier would always, like, these soldiers, they just didn't give a fuck, and they would reply all to everybody on the email chain. And it would be to one person like, I'm fucking done with this unit. Y'all can go fuck yourselves. And it would go to
Oh,
everybody. And I'm like,
oh,
wow.
oh my goodness.
Because that's my problem. I don't reply all. I just reply, and then I forget people, and then I forward my email to the people I forgot.
There you go.
Because I don't ever want to have that situation, reply all.
Hey, did you hear about Clayton? Like, oh no. Mm-mm. Yeah, everybody knows about Clayton.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, but that's what happened this week. But this week seemed to drag.
Yeah. I had a little excitement at the beginning of the week, but one of the things, like right after I was talking about how I didn't get the COVID vaccine, I don't want it, and I don't get the flu shot. Well, earlier this week, I ended up not feeling very well. I'm like, I just done jinxed myself with that, but I felt like I was burning up, but my temperature said 97.7, and I was like, yeah, I don't think this thermometer works. I'm like, I'll go to the doctor's on a good day and have a 100-degree temperature. But yeah, I need to just like stop talking about it because whenever I don't talk about it, I just don't do it. I don't get it. But my big thing for the week, oh, whenever we moved into the house we're living in, it's yeah, there was pigeons living in the front of our house, which happened to be right above the bedroom window. And, 6 years of living here, our landlord still hasn't, took the initiative to fix it. So we had a little issue on, I think it was Monday night, that we went upstairs to go to bed and get the boys ready for bed. And I opened up my bedroom door. Thankfully, it was shut because if it, I can only imagine what would have happened if it wasn't. But I opened up the bedroom door and we have drop ceiling throughout most of the house, and one of the tiles was down. And I'm like, what's this about? So I opened up the door to like kind of investigate, but like right above my window was a pigeon. I'm like, where did, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this thing, oh my God, shut the door, I don't want it through my house. It's bad enough it's in my bedroom. So I go and get Thea, and my Austin comes in, and they're trying to shoo this pigeon out the window, and it's flying through my room. I'm like, oh dear God, it's going to attack someone. But after about 7 minutes or so, and a 5 minute video of this bird flying through my bedroom, finally left. But I'm like, oh my God. And then he's up there for like an hour, like vacuuming up everything, making sure it didn't get on the bed. And I was like, oh, this can end. So yeah, he's like, that landlord's lucky that it's 10 o'clock at night, or else I would be calling him and giving him a piece of my mind. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, it's about time to be moving from here.
Yeah,
Like,
we
oh
don't
my
have that.
goodness.
Yeah, we don't have that problem here. Like we thought there was birds, 'cause in Arizona, like most of the houses are one story, and we don't have, 'cause of the heat, you don't
Uh huh.
have that problem. And we kept hearing something above our bedroom, and we're like, is there a bird stuck in there? And I forget what it was.
Is it a squirrel?
We really don't have squirrels because,
Oh.
like you won't, like the birds will come and they'll like eat the grain out of your yard and then fly away. But our big problem is like I'll be laying on my bed in my bedroom and I see a stray cat slowly walk past my window.
Oh my gosh.
Because
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
at our old house we had a squirrel issue. Like these squirrels would literally like stand on the steps to come down from the porch and just like have a standoff with you. Like, you're not coming past me. I'm like, dude, like you need to move. And the one time I was getting out of my car and to go up on my porch, and this thing like ran at me, and I was like, nope, this is gonna have to end. And you guys getting, then my husband got a bright idea about getting a trap to try to trap these things. He got a skunk. He
Oh,
didn't get he didn't get a squirrel. He got a skunk.
oh
I'm
my
like, oh
God.
my goodness.
Yeah, that reminds me of growing up. We had squirrels in our backyard, and they had so much personality. Like, my mom would be on the porch smoking, and it would be right there, just staring at her on the porch.
Yeah. They didn't, well, one, like, our door was open the one time, and then the thing was sitting on our front porch just looking in at us. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
you can stay out there, we'll stay in here, and we'll be perfectly fine. So, yeah, there's my excitingness for the week, but maybe Alex has something to add.
Hello. Not really.
No,
Uh, Nothing crazy happened.
that's good. That's good. Oh, okay. Okay. So, I got the echo back. So, yeah.
I'll
Um,
I'll just mute you and unmute you, Alex, because to our listeners, we're having an echo problem. Gotta love the technical difficulties.
yeah. At least we figured it out before like noon. You'd have Chad coming out like bitching again
Oh
that
my
you're
God, we don't
going too
need that.
slow. Yeah. So,
But it was funny because we were watching The Connors, and Sarah Gilbert's like fiance husband he was so down in his luck and everything, and he was like, I'm going to start a podcast. And you should have saw the look that Chad gave me. Because he was like, oh.
There's where you got the idea. Was
But
it
we're
this
but
week?
we're getting an audience all over the country slowly.
Well, that's good to hear.
Because did you see some people said that they just love the laughter that we're giving them, and they're just enjoying listening to our podcast.
Yeah, had everybody listen to it last week, and actually Austin and Alex's son, they're like all like addicted to like wanting to know when our next episode's coming out. I'm like, okay, well, it'll be out when it's out.
Well,
And
Randy only listens to it because he wants to hear what I say about him. So here's your
there you
shout
go.
out, Randy.
Hey, Randy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's probably why these boys listen to it too. Like, what did you say about me? I don't want people to know that. And just like, wait, and I'm sure some embarrassing stuff will come up for you.
Yeah, because I told him, I was like, well, tell your friends about my podcast. And they're like, no.
Oh, why don't you go tell them?
Yeah, because I have people at work that listen, and I'm like, oh, I need to be careful what I say.
Right?
But
I'm like,
I'm an open book, so they know how I am.
yeah. Yes. Oh,
Yeah, but everybody at the doctor's office is confused why I'm there, because they're like, well, if you're not here for a job.
oh
I'm
goodness.
like, I'm forced to do 200 hours, and because I got that government job, they're like, why are you doing this? I was like, because I enjoy it.
Right?
I just wish I could draw blood, because that was one of my funnest things for me to do is draw blood. But I give shots and all other stuff. It's
Oh,
fun and exciting.
oh goodness. I know whenever I take the boys to the doctors, the one doctor's always like, now I'm just going to give you a hug and then give you a little pinch. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that's kind of weird, but at least it doesn't like let these kids like know that the shot's coming.
Yeah.
But you're hugging my child. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, goodness. Like, get
They're
your
not
hands off.
supposed to hug them. The parent's supposed to.
Yeah, well, maybe that's normally what they do, but someone gets a hug and someone gives a hug, and it's just like someone gets a shot, and it's just like, oh. And now they're gonna hate me because I let you do it.
Yeah. Oh
But yeah,
my.
I'm waiting to see how long it takes these boys to start yelling and screaming in the background because they have to get on the video games like right early in the morning, and it's just like, dude, like, can't you just watch something and be quiet for 5 minutes? And it's just like, no, they can't. But I
Yeah,
don't
we
know.
really don't hear from our boys because, they're all in their rooms. They all got TVs and stations. And so, like, Zach is out here, our 10-year-old, on his iPad. But, the teens are in their rooms and they don't really bother us unless the internet goes out and then they come out, what's going on?
That's normally what happens here.
But, Wanda, why don't you take us into the one about raising boys?
Oh, yay. Um, I don't even know where to start. I have so much that I feel like is like crazy. Like I I have two stepdaughters, so it's like I have both, children, the types of children at home, but these boys are just like ridiculous. But then I listen to their mouths and how disrespectful the girls are, and it's just like, oh my God, thankfully I have a bunch of boys, but then my boys grow up, and the one, he is just the worst when it comes to respect. Like, he will mouth off to you, and it's just like, who cares who you are? And I don't know why you're talking to me like that, but like, he will swear at you. Like, there is a word, I don't want to say it because I think it's very like rude, but like for a female product of the downstairs area, that he has started using that D word and calling people that, and it's just like, how do you even know what that is? Where do you keep hearing this? And like my older son doesn't even say stuff like that. So I'm like, what is going on? Like, you need to stop. And then um I'll tell his dad, like he called me it again and he's like, no, I didn't, no, I didn't. And I was like, yeah, you did. Why would I sit there and lie about something like that?
He probably enjoys that he's calling you that.
Probably. But
Yeah, well, yeah, my boy is like we get in. Well, I mean, the middle child, not so much because he's like really laid back, doesn't want any drama,
mhm.
but won't even talk to us about stuff that he needs or what's going on, and then it eventually comes out, and that's the kind of kid that he is. But our oldest, like he's a fighter like me, and he is a former wrestler, and when we get into our arguments, he was like, I could kick your ass, and I was like, come on, let's try this. Because I told him,
Right?
I was like, just because you're a wrestler doesn't mean that you can take me down.
Oh
And
my goodness.
that shuts them up, because like they forget their place. And I reel them in real quick because I'm like, when they call me by my first name, I'm like, who are you talking to?
Right?
But I mean,
And then,
that's the problem. Randy's about to be 19, and I remember when I was that age, but I never ever called my parents by their first name.
yeah, you would have got knocked through the wall.
Yeah.
Same here. Alex, do you have any stories about mouthiness?
Oh boy, do I. Well, I have one of each. So, my son, who is 14, oh my God, that mouth. It is, you expect it from girls. Like, I grew up, you know, with a brother and a sister, so the me and my sister were usually the mouthier ones. My brother was very, reclusive. So,
Same.
and then I get, yeah, obviously. Um, but yeah, Isaac is just, oh, his mouth. Once he hit, like, I'd say 11, oh, the things that come out of that kid's mouth are things that I should not hear come from my son. He definitely should not be saying things like that to his mother. I have heard words that I won't even use come out of his mouth, and I don't know where it comes from. Like you said, like, where are you getting this?
Yeah. I know Austin like starts to talk about going through like puberty and stuff, and it's just like I'm your mother. I don't want to hear this.
Well, I'm okay with that kind of stuff, but when it's mostly like the name calling. Do you get any of that?
Some.
The way he talks to his friends, I'm like, how are they still your friends? How can you, you know?
Yeah. I totally understand that.
I mean, Isaac and Austin play video games together all the time. And our room is right next to his. So the stuff that I hear come out of that room when they're playing together,
Yeah.
oh my God. It's horrible.
I'll tend to get the I'm not talking to Isaac ever again. He
Oh
just
yeah.
doesn't understand, and I'm like, okay.
Well, I hear that from Isaac at least 3 times a week. But on the other end,
Oh my goodness.
But if we're going to talk about what we hear coming from our kids' rooms, because my oldest is like right beside our room, and I know it. Being from Pennsylvania, I have these strong parenting ethics, but with your older kids, when they turn 18, 19, you have to sort of relax it a little. And his girlfriend's always over, and yeah, we hear it all.
Does he not understand that you can hear it?
Oh, he
Or
knows
he
because
just doesn't care?
he just doesn't care because he was like, well, she needs it, and I was like, oh my, no, because he is like brutally honest, and I'm like, that's too much information. I don't need to hear it. And yeah, it's
Oh.
crazy. It's crazy, and I'm all for a healthy sex life, but like last night at dinner, Chad was like, you should only really be having sex like twice a month. And
What?
yeah, and then he was like, hell no. He was like, what the hell?
Oh, wow. Well, we know where Chad stands with this whole entire situation. Wow. I
Yeah,
think he
yeah,
needs
because
some
it was.
Dr. Ruth or something in his life.
Well, that's the thing. Like, what's it called? Like a nymphomaniac that needs it like constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his girlfriend. And I'm
Well,
like, okay.
that might be a little too much, but I
Yeah.
mean, twice a month? Like what in the world?
Yeah, welcome to my world.
Oh my goodness.
But I think he
I
only said that because he just wanted to see what reaction he would have. Because, I mean,
Oh.
my kids are so spoiled. Like, they got no jobs. They don't really do anything outside the house. And I keep telling, especially Randy, I was like, you graduate in a couple months. What are you going to do? And he keeps telling me, oh, I'm going to join the military like you. And I was like, I don't think you'd make it.
Oh my goodness, that would definitely be interesting. I keep getting the military here too. Like the one that always wants to mouth off all the time. He's like, he's joining the military. I was like, you go for it, because they'll be sending your ass back here. Like, oh my gosh, there's no way. Not with his mouth. I could see him lipping off to like a sergeant or something and like, dude, you're only in the first week of boot camp and you got kicked out already. Like, I could see it. I could totally see it.
Yeah, because that's how the mentality is, and this generation, they're like, oh, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna make it, because a lot of his friends have, and I was like, well, they also went to the easiest basic training. I went to the hardest one, Fort Benning, and
Hmm.
because he sees that if I could make it, anybody can, and I'm like, I'm not everybody.
No,
I have a high tolerance for bullshit, and I know when to keep my mouth shut.
exactly.
Yeah, but
I
that's the
think it's
thing. Yeah, he's like, this is my backup plan. And I was like, wow, so my life is your backup plan.
that I thought that was his original plan. Like, what's his original plan if that's his backup plan?
He
Or
just
doesn't
has
he have one yet?
no, no.
He's got a backup plan, but he doesn't have like a normal plan yet.
Yeah,
Oh, dude, you have 6 months to figure this out.
yeah, and that's why I told him. I was like, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but of course my mom had died my senior year, so I sort of had a reason to
Yeah.
not know what I wanted to do. But yeah, that's how it's been, and I'm trying to guide these kids, and they just this generation, they just don't know what they want.
I think whenever you lose like a parent, like especially a mother, like I don't I'm not like downgrading dads or anything, but like your mother gave you life, you know? Yeah, she pretty much is the one to nourish you. But like whenever you lose like that person out of your life and it's just like, what do I do now? Like if my mom wasn't still around whenever I was graduating high school, I probably would have joined with you.
Oh, I
But
know.
I didn't like I was like attached to my mother. Like I didn't want to leave my mother. And it's just like if like today was, 20 years ago, it probably would have been a different story. I mean, I who knows where my life would be right now, but like I probably would still have kids, but would it be these ones? Would it be kids that are more respectful of their parents? And I hate saying that because not all the time and not every single one of my kids are like that. But like it's kind of like a what if this happened, would this still happen? But then if your life took a different like route back in the day, like you wouldn't know that you were gonna have like as many kids as you do, or what they are or who they are. You wouldn't know that person because you're taking a different route in your life. But I don't know. I personally would love to see in 10 years if my child actually does go into the military and how that comes. But yeah, it should be interesting.
But that's what I told Randy. I was like, you could join the reserves because I told him I did 15 years active duty and I'm finishing my time in the reserves. I could retire next year if I want because I hit my 20 years soon. And
Yeah.
it's just crazy. And I told him I was like, the reserves is like the hidden gem. It is so laid back. Just 1 weekend a month, you just get another job. And I told him you could get a job in the medical field and be making bank. And they just don't get it because I'm like, the jobs that I had were like not crappy jobs, but they were okay.
Yeah.
But we live in Phoenix, so we live in a huge city, and there's so many opportunities. But I think we've just coddled them too much.
Yeah. I yeah. Like whenever my oldest stepdaughter, like whenever she like turned 18, it's just like you need to have a job, but like she doesn't contribute to anything. And I know like with COVID and stuff, I can't. Oh my gosh. Hey, that sounds like my house, but mine are screaming children. So with COVID and stuff, it's just like um, I don't like want to keep harping on the fact that nothing's contributed towards the house or anything. You live here rent free. You like help out, how hard is it to buy a case or two of water to help out a week? And it's just like if you weren't living here, you would be out on your own somewhere and you would be paying a lot more. So
But
you need to get your
these
shit
kids don't
together.
believe that. They don't believe that at all. Because they're like, because I used to hear I can make it on my own. I lived on the streets before, and I'm like,
Yeah, until they're actually out there and they realize, hey, I can't do this. I need mommy and daddy. But yeah, they're not gonna make it. Like it just seems like the generations go on and it's just like it gets more relaxed and like especially when you're not on the same like page with your spouse and how to like take care of stuff like this. And the fact that it's a stepchild, like I have boundaries. Like, do I have like the same like parenting like okays as my husband does, them being his own offspring? It's just you kind of have to know when to draw the line. And right now, like my other stepdaughter, it's very hard to um, enforce stuff with school. She currently has like zeros in all of her classes, and it's just like you're gonna repeat the ninth grade. No, I'm not. They can't fail you over two marking periods. I'm like, yeah, but your grades are so low
oh
that
yeah.
even if you get 100% in the next two marking periods, which I don't see happening, you're gonna fail. I'm like,
Well,
this is
here's a good story for you because I hear the same things from my kids, and I kept I kept telling our middle child, I was like, look, you need to be focusing on this algebra class. Nope, nope, nope. Not turning stuff in. Failed it.
oh my goodness.
And guess what the school did? They
Called you.
because the no no because they're like, oh, COVID, the online learning, COVID. And the school was like, we don't care. They put him in like the stupid kid algebra.
Oh.
And he was like, I wish I would have passed it. And I was like, uh-huh, I told you.
Yeah, Austin is in seventh grade right now, and he has the whole algebra thing, and it's just like, he'll be like, "Can you help me?" And I'm like, It's a good thing that I was aced math class and I aced all of this, because if you were talking to like your dad or somebody else, guaranteed like they weren't gonna help you.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is how you do this, and he'd be looking at me like, how do you get that? And I was like, well, what do you think it is? He'd give me an answer. I was like, well, how did you come to that answer? Because that is not right. Like, one of his like questions was a pick the wrong answer type of situation, and it was a multiple choice. So one of the questions was 5b minus 5b equals b, and he's like, well, that's right. And I was like, how do you figure? He's like, well, it just is. And I was like, no, because there's an imaginary one in front of that b at the end. And he's like, no, there isn't. I was like, yes, because if 5b minus 5b equaled b, it would just say 5b minus 5b equals 0. Like, you have to do the numbers in that equation too. Like, you can't just say that's right. I'm like, dude, like, this week has been probably the worst week whenever it comes to helping him with that. And it's just like, well, this, you have to add this here and a 1 in front of this, because then it changes the whole outcome of it all. And he's just like looking at he's looking at me like, what? And I was like, do you pay attention? He's like, kinda. I'm like, oh no. I can only imagine like the rest of my kids coming up through that. Like,
But I'm
I'm
honest
sure.
with my kids, so let's bring Alex back in.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just saying at least she can help with that. Their work makes me feel stupid. Trying to
Yes.
help them with all this stuff, it really makes me feel dumb. Like, how did I manage to graduate?
Oh yeah.
So at least you can help. That's why I have your brother.
Does he actually
He's
like do it?
who?
My brother.
Does he help?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has to. Because I'm the idiot in this situation. He's a lot smarter than I am, so
Oh my
I kind of need him.
Yeah, I don't know how that worked out that way. My brother wasn't like, he was kind of like these boys are now, like growing up. Like, he made it through school. He'd never failed, but his grades weren't all there. And it's just like, are you trying? And it's just like, I see where my mom like would have been like then, because like nowadays it's just like, you need to get this work done. And then I would get the argument, well, it's not due until blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, it was assigned to you today, you need to do it.
Yeah.
And they just don't understand. It's like wow, dude. And my first and second grader, like, they have so much work compared to these older ones. And it's just like, how do they expect to sit on a Zoom class with this teacher for an hour and a half? Actually, my second grader is like 45 minutes. And they're speed teaching through all of this. And it's like, they're expecting to know like what you're posting on these assignments. And it's just like, we didn't learn about this. I'm like, I think you did. It's just the fact that you might have spent 3 minutes on it. But
Well,
I
the
feel
thing
like,
with the online learning is that we discovered the teachers kept saying, go into your teams, your assignments are in teams. They never taught the kids how to get there. And because teams became like a gigantic thing with the government, I knew exactly what the teacher did. And she dropped it into folders and all that jazz. And so I had to teach the whole family how to go and find their assignments and how to turn them in. And because we were informed on Friday that our district's back to online starting tomorrow. And I'm like,
were they actually going?
yeah, they were going in person, but the
Oh.
COVID cases, because it's like ground zero here in Phoenix, and the parents, we were like, no, because the teachers kept pretty much going on strike because nobody can get the vaccine unless you're medical, and
Mhm.
if you're elderly, they're starting to get it, but like teachers aren't a priority, and so they pretty much They were like, well, we're going to shut it down for a couple weeks and see if it gets better, but that was the problem, especially with elementary, the teachers wanted the parents to pretty much teach the children what they needed to do. And I told my youngest's teacher, I was like, I'm not paid to be a teacher. That's your job. Figure it out.
Yeah,
And not to sound rude or anything, but I told her, I was like, I get it, but I'm an online student with my college, and there is so much more that you could be doing. You could be setting time aside to doing screenshots and teaching these kids how to get to where they need to go. Don't assume that the parents are going to help them, because the parents don't know.
yeah, and some parents, like, I know here, like, they're not involved. They
Yeah.
don't care. And it's just like the school that my kids go to, like, they require, like, parent, like, interaction. And it's just like these parents spend more time complaining that they have to do, like, this or that. And it's just like, you have time. I don't care if you work 9 to 5. You can figure out a time to go to an after school activity with your kids, or hang on.
Oh, hold on. Let me bring you back in now.
Okay.
You're back.
Okay, great. Oh, those boys. You gotta love them, though.
So do you have any stories about the online learning?
Oh my God. It's awful. I mean, it's better than when they did it last year, because this year they're actually face to face with the teacher. So the teacher is teaching them, but then they go to do their work after the class. So then that's where I have to come in, and like I said, I'm not a teacher. So I don't know. It's hard for, I think, a lot of parents, because we're not teachers and we're kind of expected to teach them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I was, because, like, I even had to get one of those, like, stand-up whiteboards, and I had to be teaching my youngest math and all that, and I'm like, why the hell am I doing this? And, like, a lot of my friends, like, they put on their resume, at-home teacher, because they're like, I'm pretty much doing it.
Exactly. After the spring of last year, I'm like, I could have my degree in teaching after all of this. I'm teaching 4 grades here. I'm like, this is interesting, but
But it was a
on
crazy thing, like, our district separated the teachers. You had online-only teachers and in-person. So when they
yes.
went back, they got a brand new teacher, and then the online teacher locked their grades out because everybody was failing.
Oh
And
gosh.
so, yeah, it affected the kids, and I was like, oh my God. And the teacher had even called me, and because she was like, I know you have questions, because I didn't even reach out. She just went on her own calling parents. And I was like, well, what is the fix to that? I was like, because I was even watching the online teacher, and they weren't teaching. They were pretty much thrown to the wolves.
Better
Oh, you're back,
than
Alex.
sorry. Would you agree that it's better than it was in the spring, though?
Oh, most definitely.
They learned from a lot of, the mistakes that they had made. My oldest still refuses to do the work, period. So he
Jeez, and I was
is.
thinking he was going to be in ninth grade with Lydia next year, but Isaac's
Oh
like in
no.
8th grade with Austin.
If he does not start actually doing his work, he will repeat. He just, since he's not in the classroom, there's no one really monitoring him other than myself. And I have 2 of them. And Chloe needs more help than he does. So, unfortunately, a lot of my attention goes to her rather than to him. And I try to make sure that he's doing the work and all of that, but you know.
Thank you for listening to our podcast.
We are available on the following platforms:
Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Tune in today. Welcome back to Chilling with Clay,
And Wanda.
and we are back talking about circumcision, and we are still having echo issues, so we have Alex on mute, which we'll chime her in from time to time.
Maybe one of these days we'll understand what the heck is going on. But this
Here,
seems
here.
to be the fix for now.
Yeah, let's bring her back. You're back.
Hello.
So, Alex, what about circumcisions?
Well, if this isn't too much information, I had my son circumcised. But I was also 17 when I had my son, super young, and I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I don't know where Wanda's going with her point on it.
An issue.
But now I don't know if I should have. It's one of those.
Yeah.
Well, I think it depends because I lived in Germany, and in Germany they don't circumcise.
Oh gosh.
And being heavily in the church, there, because it goes back to like Christian traditions for the circumcision, but it's also like a medical thing. Like in Pennsylvania, all the guys are circumcised. Like it's very rare if you find someone that isn't.
Right.
And then there was a good Sex and the City episode to where Carrie was dating that one guy, or no, maybe it was Miranda, and then he decided to get circumcised, and then like he was recovering from it. Because when my son was born, Trenton, because some fathers would be like, oh, circumcision. I would like get it done.
Yeah.
And I mean that's the thing. Like, I'm pretty sure one of my sons, they're not circumcised because they're Native American and that's their belief. But in Germany, like it's a whole hygiene thing because if you don't have proper hygiene with that, that can go like really wrong.
Yeah, I totally understand that. With my second son, okay, there was an issue. Normally, like your pediatric doctor would be the one doing it. So, whenever I had my first, like everything went fine. I thought it was how it was supposed to be, and like I said, like I had it done. And with my second, it's just like a different doctor did it, and I'm like, what's going on down here? Like, she left like a piece of skin attached or something, but I'm like, I really hope he grows out of that because then whenever he gets older, people are gonna think that he has some sort of disease, and I feel so bad, but I don't think there's really anything medically that they can actually do for it until like you're older.
Yeah.
Like if you don't grow out of it, the little ball that he has, like a little skin tag type looking thing, it's just like, yeah, maybe then we can fix it, but I don't think they're really going to do anything about it now because he could grow out of it. And then if they do remove it at such a young age, like, is it going to cause more, harm, like, growing up? And then he's going to have, like, a deformed something or other going on down there. But, yeah, so whenever I had my third, the one doctor came in that did my first son, and I was like, yeah, so do you know who's scheduled to do my circumcision for my child? And he's like, so and so. And I was like, yeah, no, she's not going anywhere near my son. She screwed up my last one. So he actually made it a point to come up to the hospital whenever during his like scheduled C-section or circumcision, sorry, to have it done, and he was gonna do it, and I was like, thank you, because if she screws up another one of my children, I might have to punch her in the face. But he did all my kids except for the one that has the issue, and I was like, mm-mm, lady, you can just go on your way, screw up someone else's child. But she's no longer with my pediatric office, which is good.
Yeah, because I would say like circumcision is more of an American thing. Because
Yeah.
I've been all over the world with my career, and it's mostly like Americans. And then when you're dating someone that's not
Oh,
American, like they're completely astonished that you're circumcised because it's not part of their culture. And I think Wanda may be kicking some ass. So let's bring Alex back in.
Okay. All right. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back, Alex.
Okay. I couldn't hear myself for a second. Yeah, but I mean, I look back on it now and I'm like, should I have? Should that have been his decision? Like, I go back and forth with it all the time because I just assume that's what I was supposed to do because everyone did it. But then I had my daughter, and like, I know it's not the same, but piercing her ears. I didn't do it until she was old enough to tell me, you know, that she wanted it done.
Yeah.
And so here I am getting her consent to pierce her ears, and, you know, I chop off a piece of my son's penis. You know, I mean, it seems a little hypocritical. So I've
yeah.
gone back and forth on whether, you know, it was the right decision.
I
So
would say that it was the right decision.
yeah, I think in the long run, like the younger boys who have it done, like they're not going to know any different. And whenever they grow up, they're probably going to be thankful for it, because you go to the gym and or wherever, and you're naked in front of another man who might not have it, done. And it's just like, what's going on down there? How comes mine looks different than that? But like, I honestly think it's probably the best decision. I mean, I understand people have their own beliefs on the whole situation, but personally, yeah, it's odd to come across somebody that doesn't, have it done. But that's my own personal belief.
Yeah, I would say like this topic's come up in my family and stuff because I mean like if you're Jewish, when you become 16 you get circumcised, but I think
They
getting
do it that late.
yeah, if you get yeah, because if you get circumcised that late compared to like when you were just born, I mean the trauma isn't going to be
Right?
there.
Wow.
But
Never
I've
even.
had friends that did circumcision in their adulthood, and you go through a lot more pain than you would when you were a child.
Yeah, well, you're a baby, and the skin's a lot less than it would be like whenever you're
Yeah.
grown. Like, I don't know if you guys watched Shameless, but there was an episode where the youngest, well, not the youngest boy, but the second to the youngest boy had it done. He was the only one in his family that didn't have it done, and he had a bunch of brothers. And he went and had it done because he had a girlfriend and he thought it was the right thing to do. But there was there was so much issue with that, like, episode where, like, he showed, like, probably not the best thing whenever you're, a late teenager boy to go have this done, because you're gonna have all these issues with, like, so much pain. And if you cough wrong, it's gonna pop a stitch, and it's just, I personally think if you're gonna do it, it's probably best to do it as a baby.
Yeah, I do too. What do
Yeah.
you think, Alex?
I mean, I would agree. I think deciding to do it later, unless it's something you really want, because like you said, it would basically be like a surgery. So
Yeah.
there would be a lot less pain earlier than if you decide to have it done. But like I said, sometimes I just feel like a hypocrite.
Yeah.
So that was my only issue with the circumcision. Knowing what I know now, because I'm not the same person I was when I had them.
Yeah,
So,
there's so much stuff that comes out of my son's mouth right now with the whole going through puberty that I couldn't imagine adding that to the whole conversation. And it's just like, no,
yeah,
couldn't.
I agree.
All right,
Yeah, I
so
just really don't think of stuff like that anymore because, actually, a lot of my kids are, because if I include the originals,
oh gosh, the original ones.
yeah, because Randy's 18, Gabrielle's 18, Cloud and Trenton are 17, and Caitlin is, she's, I
Think
think,
hard about it.
15 or 16 now, getting up there, and then we have Zach, who's 10. So, like, my mind has slowly been shifting towards grandparenting years,
Oh
because
goodness.
that's coming.
Well, yeah, especially with what's going on in the bedroom next to you. Gotta
Oh
have
no,
it
because
all the time, every day.
no, because some of our friends you've probably seen the post. They're like, "Oh my God, I'm a grandmother," and I'm like, "Oh my God, no."
Oh yeah, mm-mm, I'm good. I didn't have my children as young as some of those people did. So I had Austin when I was 24. So yeah, I think I'm still good for another few years because if that child pops out a kid and he's only 14, 15 years old,
See, you're like my mom. She didn't have my sister till she was 25, but I had Gabrielle at 19.
well, even that's okay. Like, I'm not saying anything bad about, you know, Alex or anybody else because that's what they wanted to do. But in like, if my son pops something out at 14, buddy, you better be going to living with that parent because she let her, I'm gonna
Well, I
stop.
mean, I mean, a few years ago we had a pregnancy scare with the oldest, and
Yes.
and I know a lot of people have different opinions about this, but they came to us for help, and we got them the help that they needed because they realized that it, if a pregnancy would have happened, it would have destroyed their lives because they were like 15, 16, and this is a different world than we grew up in.
Yeah. My mom would have had my ass.
Oh yeah, I was quite upset, and they were shocked that I actually was willing to help because my kids are like, you don't need to parent like your parents parented you, and I'm like, this is what's been instilled in me,
Mm-hmm.
and I ain't wrong because I haven't been wrong yet.
Right. So we took our boys out to eat the other day, and we went to the Chinese buffet, which is not something that we have been doing a lot since the
That's still
COVID.
there?
Yeah, it is. Well, which one are you talking about?
Oh, from my memory, because it's been years since I've been back home. Because I avoid Pennsylvania like the plague.
Yeah.
But I do miss Pennsylvania so much, though. Because we were in like a soda shop store yesterday, and they had the Boyer candies in there, and I was like,
Oh,
oh my God.
oh my.
And then I'm showing Chad, I was like, look, it's from Altoona, and it had the Altoona packaging on there, and I was like, oh my God. But quickly talking about PA, my hairdresser, she's from State College, and me and her were talking about the gob sandwiches from Leedy's.
Mhm.
Have you ever had those?
Probably.
Oh yeah, and we were talking about, it would just be a treat if somebody would mail us some of those. Hint, hint.
Is that a hint? Yes. Oh.
Yeah, because stuff
Okay.
like that, like my kids, they don't experience anything like that out here. because like Chad always says, we love to eat in PA.
So you're talking about like gob sandwiches, like the cakes,
Yes.
like
Uh-huh. Yeah, that has
Amish
like
make them too.
the white filling inside.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so good.
You can't buy those in the store somewhere?
They're not here.
Like no brand of it.
No.
Wow.
No, because when the one, oh, I forget who it was, but the one brand shut down that made like tasty cakes and all that.
Uh-huh.
Like they came back in business, and out here in the West, they still don't carry half their stuff now.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's different out here, because especially in Phoenix, everyone's like trying to eat healthy, and like even when you go to the gas station, they don't even carry like the old bubble gum. It's all like the Trident stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy out here. Like there's not much that you'll find like Pennsylvania, because we love to eat out there.
My goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
so
I always tell my kids about Sheets, and they're like, "What do you mean you can go in and order food like that?" Because we don't have that out here.
well, wasn't there one like a place that just opened out there that's similar to Sheets? Like they have like made to order food and stuff. And I don't know if it was down where you used to live or up in Phoenix, but I said something about, oh, that sounds really good because Chad, I think, shared it. And he's like, only if you like gross food. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, it's a sub shop. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Go, go
cause,
away.
cause like 2 years ago, cause the gas station's called Quick Trip,
Oh
and
my goodness.
Cloud for his birthday wanted pizza from Quick Trip, and I'm like, okay. So there I am, and for me, it didn't, like, I love my pizza, and it sort of tasted like a pretzel pepperoni pizza, and I
Oh
was
no.
like, yeah, I can't do this.
No.
But
No.
it's
There's
nothing
pretzels and there's
like,
pizza. Like, there's not a mixture.
yeah, 'cause they try, and like in Colorado Springs, they opened one store. It wasn't QT. If I remember right, it was called BJ's.
Is it like a Sam's Club?
No,
Or is it
it
like a
was like a
Shaw's?
Sheets. They were
Oh,
trying to, it was almost identical to Sheets, and I'm like, how are they getting away with this shit?
my goodness. Well, that's like Rutter's coming into Altoona. Like, they're like pretty much Sheets with the Rutter's name. And it's just like, oh, we're having a feud in this town. It's just like, but I'll always go to Sheets. Like, I don't care what people say.
Yeah, I miss Sheets a lot, but my kids will never know the struggle.
That's why you need to bring them here so they can experience a Sheets and how it is.
Hell, if I
They
bring
need to
them
come
home,
visit.
I'm gonna take them to the Amish country, let them see.
There you go.
Because they don't believe me that you can get stuck behind a horse and buggy. And I'm like, yes, you
Yeah, you
can.
definitely can. Yeah, and that's probably the worst thing because then you're gonna like snail's pace and you can't go
Uh-huh.
around them because it's like the same as a vehicle on the road.
Yep.
But like, so we took them to this the gourmet, and we're sitting there and we have to have our masks on to go up to the buffet and stuff. But when they come back and they're sitting down, there's like these two older ladies sitting in the corner of the section we were in. They come up to our table and they're like, y'all got three fine little gentlemen here. And I'm thinking, if you only knew, like, give them 20 minutes and your opinion of them is going to change. I'm like, no, because normally they're little hellions. They don't go anywhere. We don't go out to eat with them because of the fact that they do not know how to behave.
Yeah.
They keep asking, like, when can we go here or there? And it's just like, when you can learn how to behave. They can't behave in their house with just them three. You think I'm going to take them out in public to eat and embarrass us? Nope. You don't need to go out to eat. You can eat at home.
Yeah, because
So
that's how
that's,
my family is with Zach, because, he's a little extra, we shall say. And, like, all his aunts up in Prescott, they're like, oh, he should just stay for a little vacation. Like, they kept saying that. And then, like, at Christmas time, like, he loves to act like he's shanking you from behind. And he turned into one of his aunts, and everyone was like, "What?" And we were like, "Yeah. Do you still want them?"
Oh, wow.
But it's stupid stuff like that, because everyone's like, "Oh, your kids are so well behaved," and I was like, "Live in my house for a week, and let's see if you say that."
Exactly. But then you always get the people saying, well, they're just kids. They're
Uh
just
huh.
being boys. Why don't you just come live with my boys for a few days? I won't, you don't even have to do it for a few days, just a day. Just a day will do it. You tell me if they're just boys whenever you want to pull your hair out and leave.
Oh yeah, 'cause my father-in-law, I'll be like, "Oh, when's a good time for them to come spend quality time with their grandfather?" And he was like, like trying to get out of the conversation.
Exactly.
Cause he pays them off. Like when he sees them, he slips 20s in their pocket, and I'm like, "Oh my God."
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's crazy. So
Yeah.
I know your oldest has a girlfriend, but do your other kids like think like every girl is their girlfriend?
Oh my God.
Do they ever go through that phase?
In the Bowman house, some of the children aren't exactly on the straight and narrow path, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Well,
They
do they
like
think
both.
everyone
They
is their
like both, cause that's what we've experienced with one of our sons. He's dated
hmm
boys and he's dated girls, and we're
So in
just
that
like,
case,
well,
everyone is their significant other.
yeah, but I mean, it's like I tell my kids, be picky. Don't just take what comes along.
Yeah. Well, my kids like I don't know if Isaac's like this, but I know in my house, my boys have like 25,000 girlfriends, and it's just like, dude, like my first grader has like four of them, and it's just like, dude, every girl doesn't have to be your girlfriend. It's okay just to have one. But then my second grader, he has had the same girlfriend literally for the past 3 years since he was in kindergarten. Like he is literally obsessed with this little girl, and it's so cute because she's obsessed with him. Like whenever we actually went to Living Treasures for his birthday in August, and it was just the three littler ones, my husband and myself, and then his little girlfriend and her mom came, and they were just walking almost hand in hand the entire way. Like they were just like having the best time in the world, and it's just like, hey, at least you only have one of those, and then you think everybody else. And then Taryn's like, I don't have a girlfriend. This is 1 minute, and then the next minute, that so and so is my girlfriend or this and that. I'm like, dude, like you don't even know. Just be quiet. But then you get into my oldest one, like he will talk about his quote girlfriends and how he's dated this person and he's dated that person and this girl is just out for one thing. I'm thinking you better not be giving it to her. And then he'll just like talk about this and that, and it's just like, you're 13. You say you dated all these girls, but you never went out on a date. Do we not do that nowadays? Is this just a thing of the past? I'm like,
I mean,
okay.
have you been honest with your children of how many people you've been with?
My oldest is 13. I don't think that's a discussion.
Yeah, because I've been honest because like my kids were sort of like, I'm not gonna say which one, but one of them was sort of going down the slutty path, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have to be completely honest because I'll be honest about myself because I've been with over 300 people.
Oh my god.
It's just how it is,
Why?
you're just looking for love.
I guess that's what happens when you travel the world.
I know.
Oh
And
my goodness.
so I was honest with my kids about it. They know, and it pretty much stopped because like my son was like, "Oh, I'm so hot and sexy. The girls just want me." And so he was pretty much doing like a girl would come on to him and he wouldn't like stop it because he'd be like, "They need what they need."
Oh my
And I'm
goodness.
like, "No, that is not how it is."
I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about. I can so see him doing it, but
Uh-huh.
I'm I don't know. My oldest is 13. I If that becomes a topic, if it comes to where he is open about, I have this girlfriend and we do this, and then tomorrow I'm gonna go see this girlfriend and we're gonna, blah blah blah. And it's just like,
But that's the
hey,
age it starts now. Because my boys, they were all sexually active at 13.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really hope that's not the case, but as much as I hear come out of his mouth, I have a feeling that I don't know everything that I probably should. And he has to go to, get his yearly physical, and I normally take him and my ninth grader at the same time because their birthdays are so close together. Well, they're scheduled to go, but I had to reschedule from last week because I was down with hopefully just the flu. But yeah, I am so confused because he's like, they're not gonna give me a physical, and I was like, they need to do what they have to do. He's like, they're not looking down my pants, and I was like, you got something down there that changed or something? It's just like, what is going on? I'm like, they have to do what they have to do. Well, they're not doing it. I was like, well, then just tell them everything down there is fine, because I'm afraid that it's gonna come to the point where they're asking, are you sexually active? And he's gonna be like, well, can my mom leave the room if we're gonna have this discussion? And it's just like, you tell me about everything else. Just tell me, like, what am I gonna do about it? I'm like, tell you to stop? I'm like,
Well, here, when they're 16, they have the right, if they don't want you to know, they won't tell you. Like, you'll step out, they'll pull you out of the room and just talk to your kid, and you'll never know what's going on.
yeah, I
But I tell my
personally
kids
think,
I would kill them if they ever did it to me. So they're completely open about it. But one of them had the same instance as your son. Because, I mean, they're not used to an assertive doctor woman.
uh-huh. Oh yes, I think that's his main concern is like having one
Uh-huh.
of the ladies down there, and it's
Yeah,
just
and
like,
she was forceful. She was like, drop your pants now, sit on the bed, and he wouldn't do it. He was like, you're scaring me. And I'm like, oh my God. So he never got
oh,
checked, but then the next year it was a female doctor and she was nice and passionate and stuff, so he let them check him out. But I mean, this one doctor, like, she was like forceful. It was almost like a dominatrix type situation.
yeah, like he's like my second oldest because I have a stepson who is 20 now, I guess. Like yeah, he just turned 20. So taking him to the doctors even whenever he's 18 and 19, it was just crazy because he had like this huge crush on this one doctor down there, and
Oh
it's
my
just like,
God.
what's crazy is every time he went in there, he had her. So it's just like, oh, here we go, like, I have to sit there and listen to this, and then I obviously step out of the room whenever they did his physical for that kind of stuff whenever he was younger and stuff. But now I got to go through it with him, and he's 13, and it's just like,
Well,
dear
eventually you're gonna
God.
have to get on to the thinking like when one of my sons is like really tired and they're always in bed, I'm like, do they have mono?
Oh
And
God.
yeah, and stuff like that. And so I'm very honest with them and I tell them like we like throw condoms at them because we're like, hey, you need to wrap it up because I told him I was like some STDs that you get, you will have the rest of your life.
Oh my.
And
Yeah.
they are not fun. I've never had any, and neither has my husband, and I don't know anyone in my family that ever has because we're smart people. But I tell them, just if you're in the moment of passion, no, no, no,
Mhm.
no. But I mean, if you know your partner and you've been together a while, you know. But I just tell them, I'm like, you never know what your girlfriends are carrying. You don't know.
Exactly. So, does Isaac like going to the doctor, or is he having our issue with Austin?
Just as long as no one's in the room.
Oh, see, it sounds like Austin. It's like, you don't have to go back with
As
me.
long as we leave, he's okay. Like, he doesn't have any kind of hang-ups about it. So, I mean, that's good.
Oh
But
my.
we don't have the girl situation happening either, so.
Same here, thank God. But we sort of, because we had a little girl that we were fostering, and she has some unique, we weren't ready for these type of female issues,
Yeah.
and like it was all cleanliness and stuff, and like constantly going to the doctor, and her having to, water out the area and all that stuff, and like I like if my kids don't take care of themselves, I'm forcing the care on them.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, because I was using cream and everything, and like lots of screaming, and I was like, well, you need to fucking take care of yourself, because that's what,
Yeah.
because when they're not your children and you adopt them and take them in, they've been taught different stuff than what you're going to teach them. And like if my boys don't have a shower, I'm like on them. And they're like, "Oh, I showered the other day." And I was like, "I don't care."
You're smelling pretty rank there, kid. Get in the shower.
Even if they're not smelling, I'm like, "Get in that fucking shower," because they're like, "Well, back in the day, they only showered once a week."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then they'll only wash the hair. I'm getting a hair shower, and I'm like, "What the fuck is a hair shower?" And then now I'm like, "That's not a thing. Just get a fucking shower."
Did you ever hear about the bird bath?
No, what's that?
Like it must have been a thing back in the day too. Like my mom always talked about that. Like whenever she became like um more disabled during her later years before she passed away, like she like, well, I got a bird bath, I'm okay, like we'll get you somewhere over. I'm gonna get you someone over here to take care of you, okay? Just like
Oh, I
give
think
you a
my
proper
mom would
bath.
say that too. She was like, "Oh, I got a bird bath," because my mom was disabled almost my entire life, so sometimes she'd have a hard time like making it up the stairs and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
I do remember her
So
saying
it's
about
kind
bird
of like
baths.
a TNA bath in the
Uh
sink. Like
huh.
they get the
Yeah.
private areas, and
Yeah.
sometimes they'll bend over the sink and wash the hair, which I normally like I would help her with, but it's just you can do your bird bath other places by yourself. But I- I'm surprised like your boys haven't like heard about stuff like that. They might have to end up doing the bird bath.
Oh my God. And these kids act like we're dirt poor and can barely afford water. And I'm like, come on now.
You
Because
can't afford
like,
water for the shower, but you can afford the electricity to play their
yeah.
video games all day.
Yeah. And I mean, it's crazy because like if my one son doesn't get a shower, like his hair gets greasy like within a day.
Yeah,
And I'm
mine
like,
are like that.
"Oh," cuz I'll just look
Yeah.
at the hair and I'll be like, "Oh." And then they'll
Yeah,
always say, "Oh, I get showers at night." And I was like, "I highly doubt that because I don't hear the water running at night."
exactly.
And then they're like, "Oh, I did it at 2 in the morning." And then I'm like, "Why were you up at 2?"
Yeah, Austin's a good one for that. And it's just like, man, you need to be sleeping at 3 a.m., not getting a shower. And then lately, he will get a shower whenever his morning classes are over. Come down with dripping head of wet hair. And it's just like, whenever he was younger, I'm like, let me smell your hair. And he's like, why? Why do you need to do that? I was like, because I know if he washed it or not.
Yeah.
How? How? I'm like, because it will smell like shampoo. I'm like, what the heck? Do you want me to smell your armpits too? Like, I don't, like, what in the world? Like, just get a shower.
Yeah,
You're
that's what we
already,
do with Zach. We do that too.
yeah, because like, my younger ones are just now experiencing showers because normally they would get a bath. That way we know that they're washing themselves. But the 8-year-old, like, he'll get a shower and it's just like, you were pretty quick in there. Like, did you really wash yourself? But his hair gets so greasy if it's not washed, and I don't think he washes it properly. Thankfully, they're not in school to where, they're gonna be like, ew, Taryn doesn't shower or Dallas doesn't shower, and it's just like, yeah, you need to do that. But they get in, they clean themselves real fast, and they get out, and it's just like, At least in a bathtub, we know that they're washing themselves properly, and it's just like, yeah. But for some reason in this house, we have like a midget bathtub. So it's kind of like a one in, one out, another one in type of situation because you get two of them in there get growing up, like they're getting pretty tight. Like you can't even bathe in this house. You have to get a shower. And it's just like, someday not a big bath person. I prefer my shower, but some days whenever your body hurts because you're getting old, you kind of want to sit in the bathtub full of Epsom salt, and you can't do that in this house.
At least you have a bathtub.
Well, hey, if I didn't have a bathtub, then I wouldn't think about having a bath.
Well, our
But
house, we only have showers.
see, I would be perfectly fine with that.
I
At least
was,
then I wouldn't think
but
about it.
like you, I love my Epsom salt baths because with my workouts, it helps me. So I bought this like pop-up tub on
Oh goodness.
Amazon, and it was pretty cheap. And you fill it up, and then it has a knob to let the water out. And like it's a little tight, you know. You get in there, and like your knees are touching the sides of it. But like I'll use my bath bombs and stuff in there. And like Chad hasn't tried it because he's too tall, and it probably wouldn't be comfortable.
Yeah, Chad's like my husband. They're like 8 feet tall, and it's just like, dude, like, sorry that you just hit your head on the light, but
Yeah, but that's the good thing of our house because our ceilings are very high. Like in our living room, like it's almost 2 story high
oh my goodness.
because that's how they designed this house. So like it's good. But I mean, we would love a bathtub because when we go look at homes and stuff, and we're like, oh, a bathtub.
Yeah.
But
Oh
Alex,
man.
do you have anything?
Uh oh. Did we lose her?
I just muted her again. She's still there.
Maybe she's yelling at children.
Probably.
Oh my.
But I saw like the list that you made. I
Oh.
one thing that caught my eye was I'm looking at it right now, and
Yeah, I went back over and I'm like, yeah, it's not really something I need to see or that either, but yeah.
well, what caught
But
my eye
no.
was you have the pretty boys long hair days.
Yeah, like my my boys, like we didn't cut their hair until they were in first grade. And well, with the exception with Austin. But um so my second, like, he was in first grade. It was actually right after Christmas break that he actually got his hair cut in first grade. And I didn't mind their hair, and they didn't seem to mind it being long. And they always got mistaken for girls. And it's just like, okay, my child's dressed like a boy. My child, I personally think my child looks like a boy, but maybe that's because I know that he's a boy. But even at the doctors, like, they're like, well, let's check her out, and then they'll take off like their diaper or like pull down her pants or something. Oh well, yeah, he's doing good. Like, that switched quickly. Like, it's a good thing that my child has a penis that you can actually tell that he's a boy. But then, my second with long hair, like, he was in first grade. He wanted a cut. He was a trip though, because during the whole time during his long hair days, like, he would be so emotional whenever I'd brush his hair that he like threw a fit. Like, he would cry. I'm like, I'm not even doing anything. I'm like, I would start at the bottom and work my way up to make sure that I wasn't pulling the littlest bit. But two of my sons had like gorgeous blonde hair, especially his. But then Taryn had brown. But they always were mistaken for girls. But they all have short hair now, because Roman is finally in first grade, so he got to get his cut because he wanted it cut. But I think it's pretty much because everybody else was having theirs cut too. But I I didn't think there was anything ever wrong with it. I'm like, well, look at they watch wrestling like all the time. I'm like, well, look, Roman Reigns has long hair. Look, doesn't it look nice? Like, all these wrestlers have long hair. I'm like, and then Dallas, I'm like, you look like Brett Michaels. He's like, who's that? And I was like, don't even go there, buddy. But
But I
yeah, I'm
mean,
like,
you have to do your like a guy with long hair. You have to like have the right like cut and style to it because if you have stringy hair and you just grow it long, no.
yeah, then you look ridiculous. Hmm.
But I mean, here in Phoenix, like I've seen guys that have had long, like curly hair and other stuff, and they really pull it off good.
And that you just want to brush their hair. Like,
Yeah.
oh. I'll just pull out my brush. Can I just brush your hair, please? Like, you got beautiful hair. Like, I always, like, I watch wrestling, like, all the time, but I grew up watching wrestling. But, they'll sit there and watch it sometimes with me. I'm like, oh, I just want to brush his hair. If he was my husband, I could just brush his hair all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, heck with you kids want your hair cut. My husband's got long hair. I can brush his. But, yeah, I'm like, but, I mean, you could have, you know, long hair or bald head. It don't really matter. I mean, you have to pull off what you can pull off.
Yeah, because like one of our sons has long hair. Well, he had long hair, and he decided to cut it. And I mean,
Uh-huh.
his hair was so beautiful. It came down to his shoulders. It was
Uh-huh.
wavy. Like, you know how in the movies to how the air will slowly hit someone with long hair?
Yes.
That's how his hair was. And then he butchered it off this
Oh.
week. And then I looked at him and like I know everybody was lying. Because they're like, oh my God, I love it. And I was like, oh, is that your hair, Carol? Because I was like, you look like Carol Burnett.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for listening to our podcast.
We are available on the following platforms:
Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Tune in today. Welcome to Chilling with Clay.
And Wanda.
We are back on part 3 here, and we left off with talking about the broken bones.
So, luckily, with having, four boys and a stepson, like, we've never been through the whole broken bone situation with them. But my 13-year-old actually did tell me that he's dislocated his shoulder playing basketball. And I was like, when did you do that? I don't ever remember that. He's like, oh, it's okay. I just popped it back in. I was like, did you now? And then I guess he would go ice skating with his dad because he was like all into that, and he would do ice hockey and stuff at the skating rink here. And he's like, well, I also dislocated my pinky finger, and it was like bent out to the side and stuff. And I was like, why am I just now hearing about any of this? He's like, but it's okay. I just popped it right on back in. And I was like, dude, what the heck is going on? I'm like so confused. Like, I'm like, this is the first I'm hearing about any of this. You'll tell me about personal stuff, but you won't tell me that you dislocated something. But like my littler ones, they cry about absolutely everything that I can imagine if they broke something. Oh, I would need probably about like a 3 Vicodin to get rid of a headache because I would not know even where to go with my headache listening to them to screaming and about everything, and it's just like I'm just glad. I don't know if it's because I'm overprotected, like overprotecting them when it comes to parenting and not permitting them to do a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that they do that you would think, oh, nothing good can come of this. I'm like, no, you guys need to stop right now. But they're so mean to each other. I'm surprised someone didn't give somebody a black eye. But I remember whenever they were younger. I think Dallas was like 1, which would have made Taryn like 3 and or 2.5. And but he 3-pieced him so bad one time. He just like pow, 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 and I was like, oh, I got a fighter on my hands. He's 1 year old and he's like taking out his brother. I'm like, mm. I'm like, wow. Like I know you just recently dealt with taking someone to the hospital for a broken bone, but like
Oh
hopefully
yeah.
that was all.
Yeah, in this house like oh my God, our kids are so calm and cool. If they break something, like even if they're in pain, they're like, "Oh, I'll be fine." And
Mhm.
so, like I knew that Cloud's leg was broken. And he kept being like, "Oh, I'll be fine, I'll be fine. The pain will go away." And I'm like, "No," because it happened on Thanksgiving. And so, like the day after Thanksgiving, I take him to urgent care. They do the scans and everything, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like you need to go see the orthopedic surgeon." And then we
Yeah.
get to the orthopedic surgeon. And he was like, "Well, you don't need surgery because you broke it like a 5-year-old would break their leg, which was a good thing. And the break just had to heal. So he was in like a brace for about 2 months, and then he's in physical therapy right now trying to get some of the strength back. But like even when we had the incident with Zach, cutting himself, like I don't know any kid that would have been that calm and cool.
Oh wow, mine
Yeah,
wouldn't have been. They would have thought they were dying.
yeah.
They amputated my arm. No, you cut your finger. You
Oh
be
yeah.
okay.
But I'm the same way because when I lived in Alaska, I broke my arm during our workout, and it was a lot of pain. And I was like, "Oh, probably should get this checked out." And then when I went in, they're like, "Oh, you broke your arm." They're like, "We're surprised the bone didn't come through." And I'm like, "Really?" I was like, "It just hurts a little."
I know growing up, my brother broke my finger. And I'm talking about my boys, how they're like always wrestling and stuff and being like very rough with each other. Well, here, girls aren't much better. So I'm like wrestling with my brother, and he sat on my finger and broke my finger, bent it backwards, and it like completely snapped. And it's just like,
Oh,
oh my gosh, yeah. So boys aren't much better. Like, hopefully, like Alex doesn't have any horror stories about Chloe and Isaac. We lost her.
No, am I here?
Yeah.
Sorry. No, we've never had any broken bones. Well, Chloe, she's really clumsy, so she hurts herself an awful lot. But no broken bones. For Isaac, I'd say like he's strained some things playing basketball and whatnot, and I think the worst thing that's ever happened is broken glasses, which is a pain in the ass.
Don't I know?
It's awful. We're going through that currently. So his glasses are just completely in like pieces.
Did they come back apart?
Oh yeah,
Oh.
even worse.
Oh.
You did for a while, but he decided that he was going to take off his hoodie or a jersey with them still on, and they just completely snapped again. But he has an appointment tomorrow, finally, thank God, to get them fixed. But no broken bones, which surprises me because, like you said, boys are so rough. When he was little, he's like a daredevil. He's still that way. He does tons of stupid shit, but he's never seriously injured himself, which I'm really thankful for, and knocking on wood that,
Yeah.
that trend continues. So,
Like with the glasses thing, like they come into my house and I'm like, oh, what's wrong with your glasses? He's like, well, they snapped, and I was like, dude, it snapped around your entire eye lens. Like, what did you do? He's like, well, so and so like came up and like elbowed me or something while they were shooting the basket. I'm like, oh my god. Well, Austin came home not long before this, and with broken glasses. So there's scratches all over his lens, and the where it was broken, it was like, no, you didn't break these because they fell off your face. They literally looked like someone took the earpiece and just like snapped it off, and it's just like, what is going on with these kids? It's like, you're gonna play basketball, don't take your glasses, or you need to get yourself some granny strap or something around them things, because oh my gosh. But apparently Austin tried to claim that his were in his backpack and someone stepped on his backpack. I'm like, you have a hard case, they need to be in your case. Luckily they were fixed, but then they ended up going up to his dad's house, and so I don't know if they stayed fixed or if he broke them even more and he just is scared to bring them back down here. But I'm like, man, you need to take care of your stuff. I'm like, if you're going, you don't need them to play basketball. He doesn't need his to see all the time. Mainly just to read, and like if he's sitting in the back of a classroom, which is thankfully not an issue right now. But like, you don't need to take them with you to play basketball. You're good. So why were they in your backpack? But and then I said to him, I was like, honestly, I don't even think they were in your backpack because of the way they were broken. If someone stepped on them, I can see the lens cracking, but not how they were broken off the stem. I'm like, man, but yeah, maybe for, I'd say Christmas, but Christmas is so far away. But maybe a late Christmas gift. Both of those boys need to get some granny straps.
Oh
It's
my
just,
God.
yeah. You don't play basketball with glasses on, but if you need to play basketball with glasses on, you need yourself something that's gonna hold them on your face so they don't fall off. I'm like, you need to get those goggles that they used to wear back in the 80s to play basketball that went over their glasses. You need a pair of them.
Oh my God. Well, you can get prescription goggles.
Can you really?
Yeah, 'cause well, we go on a lot of mission trips, and our one friend, she's a nurse, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I have prescription goggles because we always go swimming and stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, I never even thought of that."
Yeah, I didn't even know. Like,
Yeah,
maybe they need them.
probably.
I'm
Oh,
like, oh man. Yeah, I couldn't see Austin putting contacts in his eyes. I don't know about Isaac, but I know my brother growing up, he played basketball and later on, like whenever he was in his late teens, like he tried the whole contacts thing. My mom went through the whole hassle of getting him contacts, had contacts for him. The kid wore them like maybe once and let him lie, and it's just like, dude, like and his eyes are so bad that his contacts weren't very cheap, especially back in the day whenever they were like new, and it's just like,
yeah.
My whole thing is whenever I first started wearing them, like, it took me like an hour to get the dang thing in my eye. Like, I'm just glad I like kept with it, and obviously got better. But I'm at the point now where I don't take them out, and it's probably not the best thing to do. But then I'll go to the eye doctor, and they're like, my old eye doctor would ask me, "Do you sleep with these in?" And I'm like, "Well, no. I take them out like I'm supposed to."
Oh,
Like,
whatever.
well, clearly, they'd probably look and thinking in your head like, "Yeah, I'm not even gonna get into this with you, but I know that you're lying to me. But okay, let's just go on with our little exam." But every time I would go, they'd always ask me that, and it's just like, I'm sure they probably caught on that I was lying to them.
Well, I have
But
contacts, but I never put them in. Like, I have a year's supply of them, and I just don't put them in because I don't want to mess with my eyes.
hmm well, I luckily over the several years, like I've been going to this one eye doctor, like my prescription hasn't gotten worse. It's actually gotten better, which is really odd because like I have lupus and one of the medications I take, they want you to get your eyes checked every 6 week or every 6 months. But luckily, like there's no like buildup of anything in there, and my eyes have gotten better. And it's just like I have to be doing something right. I'm like, who cares if I wear my contacts to bed? I've never had the issue with like it rolling back in my eye or anything, so
Well, I
I'm
know
good.
friends that would sleep with their contacts and they would get an affection in their eye.
Yeah, I've never had that happen. Maybe it's the type of contacts it is, and like
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
like I can sleep with my contacts that I have, but they
Mhm.
don't recommend they recommend that you like take it out like every couple days.
Yeah. Well, normally whenever I do like take out my contacts to change them out, I take them off on a weekend. Well, this is how I used to, but I haven't like done it lately. But I need to. But I do it normally on a weekend. That way, I'm usually not like taking my kids to school or anything else that it doesn't matter if my glasses on because it seems like every time I have my glasses on and I'm outside, it's raining. And it's just like this weather knows. Like I have to let my eyes breathe. I have my contacts on, but yet now I have to deal with this rain. It's just
I
insane.
might just have Randy put my contacts in and take them out because he's offered to do it because I have really long eyelashes. Like I have like the
Yeah.
eyelashes that every woman would love to have.
See, my boys have eyelashes like that. Like, how is it that guys can have eyelashes like that, and here I am with my dinky short ones?
It's annoying because like when I try
Oh,
to put,
it's annoying
yeah.
for me that you have
Oh no.
eyelashes like that are an inch long, and here I am over here trying to mascara them up, and I have like nothing.
Now I got Zach in my face looking at my eyelashes.
Oh, his are probably long too.
All his is. Yep.
My goodness.
What are you eating? Oh, he's eating my candy. Get out of here.
He found your stash.
Oh, all my kids find my stash.
My goodness.
Oh,
At least
nothing's ever safe here.
at least it's a stash of candy.
Well, Chad has like chocolate chip cookies from Sprouts, which is like an organic store, and
Oh, they don't want them.
oh no, they do, and he
Oh.
counts them, and if any's missing, like all hell breaks loose.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's
That's
just
how it is in
crazy.
this house. But I don't ever remember growing up, fighting over snacks because we all got the snacks that we wanted at the store and made it last. But I mean, we grew up in the 90s, so I tell my kids, my dad would always get me like 2 cases of the 24 pack of Mountain Dew.
Mhm.
Yeah, like that's how it was.
Well, I like nothing like annoys me more than, people putting back empty containers. And like my brother was a good one for that. Like he would finish off the last of something and put it back. And it's just like, dude, like you just put an empty box of Pop Tarts back in the cupboard, and I'm thinking there's a Pop Tart in there. I take it out, and there's nothing in there. Or the littlest sip of milk that I will put back in the fridge. It's like you couldn't finish that off. The
Oh,
trash can's right there. Like you couldn't just finish it and throw it away.
I got something better for you. Like I'll have cookies or something in the pantry, and they'll eat them, but leave me one. And I'm like, oh,
Oh,
thank you.
you couldn't just finish them all, throw away the evidence, and make me
Uh-huh.
forget that I even had the dang thing. So you had to leave me one of them.
Yep.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. My kids are, I think these younger ones are good for that too. And it's just like, I don't know if it's because they're boys, but um, yeah, if you're going to finish something, throw it away. Don't leave me a sip of juice or milk in the fridge. Finish it off. Like, it's absurd. Or they'll finish something, not even tell me we're out of it, and I'll go to get it, and, you know, there isn't any.
Oh yeah, because like I'll buy orange juice and I'll buy stuff and forget it's in the fridge, and
Hmm.
then of course my kids will be like, they'll drink the orange juice, and then when I'm like, oh yeah, I had orange juice, and I'll go in there and there'll be like just a splash left, and then they'll be like, well, you weren't drinking it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was doing Gatorade, so I'd have Gatorades in there, and then they were like sneaking them, and then of course nobody could
Nobody
fess
did
up
it.
to it. Yeah.
Yes. Same here. No, it's never anybody's fault. Nobody ever did anything. It's just like, oh, okay, it was just the imaginary person that lives here with us. They did it. They did it all. But yeah.
Yeah, because like Randy was like, "Can I have one of your Klondike bars?" And I'm like, "Okay." And then I look in there yesterday, and two were missing, and I was like, "I thought I said you could only have one." And he was like, "I only had one. What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "No, you had two." And then he had that nervous laugh, and I was like, "You just gave yourself away."
Right. My goodness.
Sounds like a riot at your house.
Oh, they need to stop. They're running through the house screaming and hitting each other. Someone will come back in crying. So, like, you've raised girls. Alex has a girl. I have stepdaughters. Like, does raising both boys and girls make you wish or want one over the, like, not one child over the other, but like, is raising one easier than the other? Hold on a second.
Well, we'll get to you in a minute, Alex, but I will say that it depends on the age. Because when my kids were being born really young, the girls would it when they came home from the hospital, they were sleeping through the night in 1 month. But then when we had Trenton, oh my God, it was like 2 years of hell because he would not sleep through the night. And like with the boys, they were like more physical, like more daring and annoying. And the girls were really more laid back. But as they approached being teenagers and stuff, it's like a complete 180. So that's sort of why I'm glad I really don't talk to my girls anymore because it's just too much drama.
Exactly. I hear you.
And I remember my sister when my sister got to like 15, 16, like it was like a switch turned on. And like she was I mean, if you ask her now, she'll be like, "Oh no. I was so perfect and I was mom's favorite, but they were constantly fighting."
Yeah.
And she claims that's not how it was, and I was like, "Yeah, that is how it was because I remember."
Right.
But I mean, it depends. Like we have all boys, and then everyone's like, "Oh, you have only boys at your house? That must be interesting." And I was like, "Well, we all pretty much keep to ourselves. Nothing too crazy ever happens. We're a close family, but it's just I think depends on the age." And what do you think, Alex?
I would agree. I do think it depends a lot on the age. I think both boys and girls come with their own set of difficulties, to be honest. So I don't think one is easier over the other.
From my perspective, like I've I've had boys. So hang on one second. I am so sorry.